Today, we're going to go through some of my projects, and there's plenty of them. First of which, I'll start off with the rolling stock. And first of the rolling stock will be this Wisconsin Central boxcar. This boxcar is not actually owned by me, it's owned by another member who operates on the same layout as I do. This is his car, it's an Athearn Blue boxcar, which had been having some issues. Notably, the coupler height on this thing was significantly low. So while we were there at the layout, I did some little tweaking to this car. I kind of poorly put on some coupler boxes and rearranged some stuff and tried to get the coupler height correct, but it just didn't work out. So I decided to take this car home and do a full rebuild on the thing. Most notably, you'll be able to see everything on the underside. I took out the weight that the blue box cars use because that was part of why the couplers were so low. I also removed the original Athearn couplers from the frame and mounted KD boxes. They're both screwed and glued into the chassis of the car, so they should hold up pretty well. And I tweaked the trucks to my liking with some metal wheels and whatnot. And to replace the weight, I just added weight inside the car. I'm not taking off the shell because it's tacked together with just a little bit of glue. But I've done a bunch of work to this car, and tomorrow morning, it should be good to go for a test run. Next up, I have a new piece of rolling stock to showcase. I might have showcased it in the past, but I'm going to show it here anyway, which is this Golden West, I believe, rock hopper. There's actually a facility near me that uses these, not specifically Golden West, but this exact same style of car. But I believe these are pretty modern cars. It's well outside the era of stuff I'm trying to do, but who knows, I can probably find a use for it. It was a free car as well. Everything was already up to my standards, which is really nice. I have not had to do any mechanical tweaking to this car. It's just ready and good to go. So I'll see if I find a use for this thing. If not, I'll find something to do with it. Next up, I have a pair of Athearn Blue Box 40-foot high cube box cars that I have weathered. First of which was this Rio Grande car, and second was this Burlington route car. And I'll start with the Rio Grande car because I think it personally turned out the best. While the weathering is just a little bit toned down, it's a little bit difficult to see on camera, but I actually think it looks pretty good if the camera wants to focus on it. But I did both ends of the car, I did the sides and the roof. So I just used basic weathering powder. I've had a whole bunch laying around. I know some people have said that weathering powder's not the best way to weather a car, but I've got a ton of it that I need to use up, so I've been practicing on some older stuff like this, and for this car, I actually think it turned out really well. Again, this is probably going to be too new for what I'm trying to shift all my rolling stock towards, so I don't know what I'll do with this thing exactly, but it was a fun little practice piece. And the Burlington route car here, while on this side the weathering looks pretty good, I think this car turned out far worse than the other one. But as you can see, the weathering on this side, again, it's not perfect. The red makes it a little easier to see where I had some imperfections in the weathering, especially this patch right here. But mostly on the other side. The roof also looks pretty good. I do kind of like that. You can kind of see some of the issue here. It's all got to do with this clear coat. So the bottle I was using, or I guess spray can, whatever you want to call it, gummed up, and it sort of just sprayed a huge layer of clear on the side of the car. And as you can see, it's kind of gummed up just about everywhere. So it's now got a much different, shinier color. So I might need to just touch that up with a little bit of paint, maybe even weather it over it just a little bit more. So it's going to be salvageable. It just kind of bugs me. But again, these are cars that I don't even know if I'm going to be using in the long run. So we'll see if I even end up doing anything to fix this, if I get rid of these cars, or what I decide to do with them. Next up, we have one of my Bachmann ore cars, specifically one of my two Union Pacific ones. And as you can see, this one has not changed since the last time I've had it on the channel when I put KDs on these things. At least I think that was the last time I discussed them. This one has this kind of obnoxious yellow ore load, which has always kind of bugged me. This is the same load that was in my PRR hoppers for the longest time, and I just have not liked them. So what I did recently is I bought some newer ore loads. I believe they're tannerite ore, I'm not entirely certain, for my PRR cars. So now I have 4 of these with these nice ore loads in them. It might actually be 3, I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, I've got a nice assortment of these things. But the issue is I cannot get more of these because I believe the company I got them from went out of business. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's pretty hard to get more equipment and parts from them if they're no longer in business. Even though I do have more Bachmann ore cars I could order loads for if I found some, I don't think I'm going to. I'm considering switching from Bachmann to Athearn ore cars, or maybe some other manufacturer. I'm not sure yet. I've just had issues with working on some of these Bachmann cars. It's an issue with all their rolling stock, but if I start getting a big fleet of this stuff, it'll definitely become an issue. For one, I don't really like the truck design, especially the screw. It's really hard to adjust and get it to exactly how I want the trucks to be. And also, the coupler boxes are a really big issue. The tolerances are like way off between them. On one side, the post that the coupler has to sit on is just perfectly fine. You can sit a Katy on there perfectly. And on the other side of the car, it could possibly be that the mount for the coupler is way too large or way too small, and you need to make some modifications. It's just wildly inconsistent, and it bugs me. So I'm kind of thinking, especially since it's really difficult to find some good ore loads for these ore cars, I might just switch to Athearn ones. But let me know if you have any feedback on what I should do with the ore car situation. And finally, for the rolling stock department, I bought a few new Walthers cars. I bought not one, not two, but three 40-foot steel reefers. Specifically, 40-foot steel ice reefers. If you didn't notice, they've got the ice hatches up here. I've done my research, and I want these guys to go with my Union Pacific GP9s that you saw recently. These actually, I believe, should fit within the era. What's really weird with these cars is I did research. These ones are built in like the late 1920s, but I have found photos of these with those GP9s in the mid 60s, which is kind of shocking. And I read that for, I believe, ventilated service. I forget what exact products it was. These 40-foot steel reefers were in service even until like the early 1970s. So these cars may need a little bit of weathering to fit in, but they're really not that far off in terms of era. But again, if anyone has any suggestions on any other rolling stock I should get to go with those GP9s, please do let me know. Especially if you've got a specific manufacturer or rolling stock in mind, because I am always on the hunt for new stuff to go with that pair. But with these cars, I have done my due diligence. I've done all the little tweaks and upgrades I've wanted to do. Some of these cars actually had their couplers come perfect out of the box. The trucks were tuned exactly how I wanted them. It was kind of shocking. I think it was just one of these cars I had to adjust the coupler height on, and another one I had to just tinker with the trucks with a little bit. And in addition, on all these cars, I just had to add a little bit of weight. These were really trouble-free to work on, and it was actually kind of nice. I have not run these things yet. They're going to get their first run tomorrow, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully nothing catastrophic goes wrong with these guys. Before we move on to the 4 locomotives, I've got some very simple supply updates to go through. First of which, I actually got some canopy glue for once. If you don't know what this is a slower, clear-drying glue. It's kind of like super glue a little bit. It's a lot less ridiculous to deal with. It dries much nicer. And overall, I think this is a lot better. I'm thinking in the near future, and by near future, maybe in the next few months or so, I want to do a video going through all the like adhesives and glues you can use for model railroading. I want to at least feature this, hot glue, super glue, and plastic cement. If anyone has any other suggestions on what I should include, if you want me to do it, if you don't want me to do it, or anything like that, let me know. And also in terms of supplies, this is just a really quick mention. I've been tinkering on rolling stock a lot lately, as you can probably tell, and I've been running low on both varieties of Katy washers, so I've ordered some, and I've got some new Katy washers in. So, onto the locomotives, and first of which is this Doodlebug, specifically a Walthers Chicago and Northwestern Doodlebug. This Doodlebug used to belong to another member who operated on the same layout that I do. He had a whole bunch of models that he didn't use, mostly DCC, and decided that he wanted to give them out and get rid of them. I decided to take this one as it was essentially the only DC model there, and it was not functional. I wanted to restore this just as a revival on the channel, but decided and found out really quickly that it was a really easy repair. This actually has a band driving the motor at the front. I don't know if you can really see it in there, but there's a flywheel with a band on it, and that's how power gets from the motor up there down to the axles down here. All I had to do was swap that over, and it runs perfectly fine. The other thing I did is I actually put a DCC decoder in here. You can't really see it in there, but actually you kind of can. I put a little piece of white styrene up top, and I have situated a board on top of that. I think it was a board that I got for really cheap or free or something like that, and it works just fine. The only issue is the headlight I put in doesn't work. And this is something I just kind of need to address overall. I need to find what exact headlights I should be using for LEDs in most of these models, and just order a big bulk of them. Because I have so many models, I just need to put lighting in, and it's just an investment I need to make. There's this. I have my Seaboard 060. I've got my GP60M. I have my GP40X. It goes on and on and on and on. And another model you'll see soon. So I just need to figure out what lights specifically I should order that work best in HO scale locomotives, and just go with that. Another little thing I need to address is one of these stacks up here is broken off. It's in the box. I'm going to use some of that canopy glue to reattach it, and that should be no biggie. I'll just do that probably right after filming this. Next up, I have something that was actually a pretty simple project. This is my Riverossi E8 that was lettered for a fictional railroad that someone actually gave to me for free quite a while ago. It's actually a really neat scheme and railroad. It's based around sort of Santa Cruz, California. Forget exactly what the name of the route was, but it's a really cool piece. For something that was painted in the 70s, all the paintwork and the decals actually seem to be holding up really well, and I do really like it. The only issue with this thing was that I can't remember. I think it had horn hooks on it, not no couplers whatsoever, and I wanted to replace them and put Katie's on the thing, which proved to be a pretty tall order, and I did that recently. I made some really custom mounts out of styrene. I had to be very careful to avoid the range of motion of the trucks, which I did. It just required a lot of really precise cutting and filing and all that fun stuff. On the rear, it's the same situation, and while these don't look the prettiest right now, I might give them just a little bit of paint in the near future, but they seem to be holding up really well, and I actually really like how it turned out. Next up is a model that's been an ongoing project for years, my Bachmann 70-tonner. So, a little bit of a background on this thing. This was a model that was originally thrown in the garbage that I ended up taking and fixing. It was originally in the gray Southern Pacific paint scheme. The shell was in really bad shape. This fuel tank down here was gray. And all I did to begin with was replace the trucks. It had a decoder in it, and I was just running it with that gray shell. Then I was actually given this black scheme shell, which actually looks really nice, painted the fuel tank, which I probably still need to put some decals on, and then that was perfectly fine for quite a while. But then the motor started having issues, and I can't remember when this was, but I decided to replace it with a Northwest Shortline motor, and crucially, I decided to replace the drive shafts with, I believe it was flexible rubber tubing. I did not like the result of how this thing ran with that flexible tubing, so I ripped it all out recently, and I just put regular old drive shafts back in the thing, and it seems so far like it'll run just fine. I'm planning on giving this thing its initial test run tomorrow, so I'll see how that goes. But again, this is another model that has been an ongoing project. So if that turns out well, the next step of the equation is getting this thing a speaker and some lights, because getting rid of the old board required me removing the old, I believe they were incandescent bulbs. This model also has a Tsunami 2 decoder in it now. I do not have a speaker yet. That's something else I need to order and stick in the thing. But again, it's an ongoing project. If this motor work turns out to be successful, I'll probably go for it. If not, I'll keep tinkering on this thing, and once it's mechanically good to go, I'll start upgrading its lighting and its sound. And finally, I have a very, very small project to talk about. This is my lifelike Union Pacific F40, which, yes, I know this is a very ridiculous model, but it's fun. Something I did very recently to this thing is I decided that this fun and goofy model needed Katie's. So using, I think it was just Katie number 5s and the Katie Talgo truck adapters, I stuck some Katie's on the thing. And somehow these were at the exact perfect height when they went on the model, which is kind of nice. I want to, at some point, just because it would be funny, put a DCC decoder in this thing and just see if it can handle it. I think that would be something fun to try in the future. But for now, it can actually carry some of my nicer cars, so it'll be funny to have this thing running with like modern Athearn and Walther's cars. It would just be a really weird look. So that's it for today. I've still got a lot more projects in the works. There's actually 4 things I'm working on currently that are not in this video because they're not done yet. So stay tuned. In the near future, I might have another one of these out. I've just got to get more projects done before I can film things about done projects.